Hello and welcome to Nowhere. My name is Trish and I am the creator behind Nowhere Novelty. I am a self-admitted TikTok fiend. I scroll fellow Tumbler makers' TikToks to get inspiration, just like last episode, and I found probably the coolest tumbler I've ever seen before. I will give credit where credit is due. Hers looks way better than mine. I'll list it down below, but we are going to be recreating this tie-dye neon power wash tumbler. Can't wait to show you guys this technique. So if you're ready, let's strap in and shoot for the stars. All right, so let me start off by saying that this beginning part of the video is very much sped up. It actually took about an hour and a half to do the painting of the tie-dye. I am starting with a 20-ounce skinny straight tumbler from Maker Flow Crafts, base painted white. I used a highlighter to draw the swirl onto the tumbler for the tie-dye. I wanted to kind of give myself an outline or a pattern to follow so I didn't just freehand the spiral. These paints are neon acrylic craft paints from Michaels. I flashed the actual bottle so you can see the brand in the beginning, and I'll have them linked below. They did come in the set of 6, so it was really nice to have all of the rainbow colors available. I'm using I would say this is about a 1/2 inch wide angled paintbrush. It's also from Michaels. It came in a set. I couldn't tell you how long I've had this paintbrush. But I'm going through with the pink acrylic paint at first, following my spiral with like notches, I guess you could say, is the stroke pattern that I'm applying the paint. I realized very early on that my spiral was pretty close together. It ended up working out in the long run, but if I were to do this cup again, I would have much less lines of the spiral repeating. So I did 2 layers of each of the primary colors. Started with pink, obviously, 2 layers of that. Now moving on with the yellow. The reason I went straight to yellow and skipped over orange is because the pink paint is still pretty wet, so I am able to basically create an orange mixing the pink and the yellow. I did the exact same thing by skipping over green and going straight to blue here. Same thing, the yellow was still pretty wet, so I was able to create a green blend with the blue and the yellow. However, I did not get a purple blend as much as I wanted with the pink. The pink had dried up at this point. The overlap naturally of the blue and the pink, because these colors are a little more translucent, did create a little bit of like a shadow of a purple, but this is when I knew I was going to have to go back in with the secondary colors. I knew ultimately that I was going to go in with the secondary colors after the fact, but I thought using just the primary colors initially and getting a light mix between the two would make life easier for the long haul. With the secondary colors, I'm working kind of in reverse, so I'm starting with purple. Since the blue was still wet, I wanted to blend that line first. The secondary colors, I only did 1 coat. It's really all that I needed because the colors and overlapped of the primary colors were already there. It worked out that really I was doing much smaller strokes and just emphasizing the secondary colors that were already mixed. Now, because this is getting repetitive, I'm starting to cut portions out of me going like all the way around the spiral. So now we're on to the green, and again, we're just emphasizing the line that was already mixed between the yellow and the blue. One final color, moving on to the orange. This really with the secondary colors, I think really tied the whole tie-dye together and made all of the rainbow colors pop. So the TikTok that I saw that had this technique, that I got the inspiration for this cup from, her spiral, like I said, was much bigger than mine. So her like brush strokes were much more jagged. She had much longer lines. Her brush strokes almost looked like a starburst with like longer lines and shorter lines. And I tried to mimic that, but because my lines were so close together, I just couldn't like stretch the color as much as she did. I did leave the bottom of the cup for the end. I wasn't sure how I was going to bring the spiral to the bottom. So initially I was just working on the spiral around the cup. Once all of my secondary colors were on, I opened every single one of the colors, so I had everything on hand, and I started working on the bottom. I followed the pink lines that met the bottom rim of the cup and drew them in almost still going in that spiral shape. They're kind of like pie slices. So then I followed where each of the other colors, the yellow, the blue at first, and followed those down onto the bottom of the cup as they met the edge of the cup. I knew this was ultimately going to get a black power wash spray paint over the design. So I knew that if I absolutely hated the bottom of the cup, I could just cover it up. But there was only really like one spot that kind of got muddled in one of the pie slices. But otherwise, I actually think the bottom of the cup tied the whole spiral together really well. After a very long hour and a half, I finally finished this tie-dye pattern, and here is the final result before epoxy. Now it's time to make this thing sparkle. I'm not adding any glitter, just the Helix additive from the glitter grind. Helix is an additive to epoxy. It's glitter technically, but it's so fine. It borders on being close to mica powder. I wanted this sparkle to be under the black power wash. I knew that the black power wash was going to really make the neon pop, but I wanted the sparkle underneath it so that it wasn't just like plain paint. I will admit that I went in with a second coat of epoxy with more, and I mean a lot, of Helix after this coat was cured, because this initial coat had a really nice soft sparkle, but I wanted it to pack more of a punch. I'm so used to using a tiny drop of the Helix because a little really goes a long way, but this one needed more. Now here comes the fun part. Using Dawn Powerwash and black spray paint, I wanted a really super fine mist of the power wash. I didn't do any heavier, chunkier spots that would block off a lot more of the paint underneath. I just did a nice light spray throughout and then immediately went in with the black spray paint. Made sure I got even coverage on the entire cup, including that bottom, which did have a nice mist to it. Dunk that bad boy right into the water, and oh my gosh, look at this. It looks so good with the nice deep black against that neon paint. This needs no decals, so 2 more coats of epoxy and you are done. It's gorgeous, like, period. Any questions? Leave them in the comments. Hope to see you real soon. Bye-bye now.